Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Do you know that there are people who lose up to 2 pounds or 1 kilogram of weight in 1 week by eating less than 80 grams of protein per day? Well, it depends on many factors like your age, sex, activity levels, and goals. Your body will start breaking down its own muscle tissue for protein. You may think that this is a great way to lose weight, but I assure you that it's not. Then you can create a calorie deficit by reducing your carbohydrate and fat intake. If that's the case, you should try a diet called Protein Sparing Modified Fast, or PSMF. This diet was invented in the early 1970s by Dr. Robert C. Atkins, and it consists of eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. This diet is even worse than keto because it's extremely restrictive and excludes essential nutrients like vitamins, minerals, and fiber. No wonder there aren't any studies showing the health benefits of a carnivore diet. To lose weight and preserve muscle, you should aim to eat enough protein to maintain your muscle mass and then create a calorie deficit by reducing your carbohydrate and fat intake. And subscribe if you haven't already. Take care and see you next time. Low-carb diets are a better option than low-fat diets for weight loss, but they don't necessarily need to be high in protein. Instead, we have plenty of research showing the negative effects of a carnivore diet. For example, a study published in the journal Nutrients found that after 6 months on a carnivore diet, participants had higher levels of triglycerides and LDL cholesterol, also known as bad cholesterol. But I wouldn't recommend this diet for most people because it is extremely restrictive and difficult to maintain over long periods of time. Research shows that low-carb diets are more effective for weight loss than low-fat diets. But low-carb diets don't necessarily mean high protein. In fact, many low-carb diets are also low in protein because when you restrict carbs, your body will start breaking down its own fat for energy instead of carbs. This means that you can stay full for a long time without needing much protein. Also, when you break down fat, you produce ketones, which are an alternative source of energy that can help you stay full and prevent hunger cravings. This is why many people on a low-carb diet report feeling less hungry and having fewer cravings than on a low-fat diet. Plus, a meta-analysis published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that low-carb diets were more effective for weight loss than low-fat diets. Also, eating too much protein has been linked to dehydration, especially if you don't drink enough water. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that when healthy young men consumed 1.7 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, they became severely dehydrated within just 4 days. A general rule of thumb is that for every 1 pound or 0.5 kilograms of body weight, you should eat 1 gram of protein per day. On a keto diet, you replace most of the carbohydrates in your diet with fat. The idea is that by reducing carbs, your body will produce less insulin, which allows you to eat more fatty foods without gaining weight. In fact, according to a meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, keto dieters lose almost double the weight of those on a regular low-fat diet. But this doesn't mean that you should immediately switch to a keto diet. You see, keto diet restricts many healthy foods like fruits, beans, and whole grains, and replaces them with unhealthy ones like processed meats and butter. This is why research shows that people on a keto diet have higher rates of heart disease and cancer. This means that if you weigh 150 pounds or 68 kilograms, you should eat about 150 grams of protein per day. If you follow this rule, you won't lose much muscle while losing weight. When you eat very little protein, your body starts breaking down muscle and turns it into glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis. Glucose is used for energy. So you don't use the glucose produced from the breakdown of muscle, it gets stored as fat. On top of that, eating low protein increases the hunger hormone ghrelin, while decreasing the hormones responsible for making you feel full, like leptin and cholecystokinin. This is why when you eat very little protein, you tend to be hungrier and feel like eating all the time. The net result is that you end up gaining more fat and feeling hungrier, which makes it harder to lose weight. For example, sedentary men aged 19 to 50 years old need about 56 grams of protein per day. There are 2 reasons. First, they're probably eating fewer calories than their maintenance level, which creates a calorie deficit. By being in a calorie deficit, the body will start burning fat for energy instead of carbohydrates. And since protein takes a lot of energy to digest, absorb, and utilize, consuming low amounts of protein can indirectly reduce the number of calories you consume during the day. Less food means fewer calories. Second, low protein intake increases the levels of the hormone glucagon, which helps the body burn fat more efficiently. This is why low protein diets like ketogenic and carnivore are so popular for rapid weight loss. But I don't recommend going on a low protein diet unless you have kidney or liver problems, because a deficiency in protein can cause muscle loss and weakness, especially when you get older. For women in the same age group, it's around 46 grams per day. However, if you're above 50 years old, both men and women need less protein because our muscle mass decreases with age, and therefore we need less protein too. This means that the amount of protein you need per day is not fixed, and it changes as you age. If you want to know how they do it, and if it's good for you, then keep watching. First, let's look at how much protein do we need per day. But what happens if you eat less protein than what's recommended? So if low protein does not help you lose weight, then how can some people lose weight on such a restrictive diet? If you want to lose weight and build muscle, you should aim to eat enough protein to maintain your muscle mass. But what if you want to preserve as much muscle as possible? The most common low-carb, high-protein diet is the ketogenic diet, also known as the keto diet. Another low-carb, high-protein diet is the carnivore diet, where you only eat meat and nothing else. Now, what about a low-carb diet? Is it better than low protein? Yes, absolutely. To sum up, no, low-protein diets do not work after 50 because our bodies require less protein as we age. Okay, that's it for today. If you found this video helpful, please leave a thumbs up below.